Well, here we go. I am going to try my first custom PC build. Why custom PC build? Well, one of the biggest reasons is we've been doing a lot of video production, and our skills have been growing rapidly, and so has the demands of our work, the file sizes, the codecs, everything. And so currently our weakest link is definitely our computers that we're using to actually edit our footage on. So something had to give where we're spending easily twice as much time as we should be spending on an edit, just because the load is too much for our computers. Currently I am on a Windows Surface Pro, I know, and Jess has a 2015 MacBook Pro, which is a little bit better, but it's still, once you start getting anything above a 1920 by 1080 images, so if you're looking to go 4K, you really start to push what those things are capable of. So hence, new custom PC. So this has been a long time coming. We've been planning it for a long time. I've been obsessing about every little piece that I want, putting together a budget. Then we had the finances in a row, then the pandemic hit, and I didn't feel comfortable spending this kind of money when I wasn't quite sure about the finances, especially jobs going up and down and everything that goes along with it. So after a few months in, I felt more comfortable about the future and being able to do this to keep our productions going. So here we go. So this is the custom PC build. What did I end up going with? Well, I was immediately drawn to mini ITX cases. So you could do a standard case to down to a 20 milliliter to a 5, but I wanted to go somewhere in between because it was my first build, I wasn't entirely comfortable about cramming this much amount of power and expensive things into a small space on my first try. So I went a little bit bigger. I ended up going with the Lee TU150. What else did I go with? The brains behind everything, the CPU that I really wanted to go with is the Ryzen 9 3950. So just for reference, my Microsoft Surface Pro is a 2-core, 2.2 gigahertz processor. So what I'm doing here is I'm jumping up from 2 cores to 16 cores. Cores matter a lot, especially for the programs that I am looking to utilize. Our production stuff is primarily we're using the Adobe suites, so Premiere Pro, After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop. Another one that I really want to get into and dabble in is Blender. So I want to get my hands wet in some more 3D worlds, and multi-cores are awesome for Blender. Not as much for Premiere Pro right now. It still favors the single core, but things are changing, and so that's what I'm banking on. 16 cores here. I ended up upgrading from the 3900, the 12 core. It was just worth it to me. I was Googling over this one too much, so this was my little overspin. Then we have the other big chunk, and that is the graphics card. So graphics card, I am doing RTX 2070 Super. So the nice thing, these guys came out, and so now essentially I'm getting a 2080 for the price of a 2070 Super. So I was definitely all for it. Because of the pandemic, this was like the only one I could get. I was not going to spend over $500 on this card. I could have easily spent more and paid the inflated prices, but I was not going to do that. I was going to be patient and just let things come. So this guy will be awesome, especially with Adobe's new advancements with NVIDIA's rendering utilizing the hardware encoding, so it'll be way faster than what I'm working at. Then one of the other things I was looking at for timing was they had just released the B550 boards. So I was originally going to do the X570, and I was really bummed with this TU150 because it has a USB Type-C I/O on the front, but the X570 you can't use it. So because there's no port on the motherboard. So this guy came out, saved me about $170 cheaper, and I get the front I/O. So, and I'm not going to notice any other speed differences between the two. So B550 all the way. So this is the Rogue Strix ITX motherboard. Then for the giant processor, I am not taking any chances. So I ended up going with the D15. Technically, theoretically, this should actually fit in my TU150 into that case. It's going to be a close call, but if I can get a 150 mil fan in there with this kind of a heat sink, I will feel very, very comfortable with that. I do not, by the way, intend to overclock my CPU. I think the worst thing that I'll do to it is maybe like a 4K, eventually 6K renders, or some heavy Blender renders. So there shouldn't be any need to really tap into and customize a bunch of that stuff. I'm going to also do the traditional 1 terabyte NVMe M.2. This just makes total sense. Price per pound, what you're getting, the difference here, this is on the motherboard, it's not an external thing, super fast. So I am currently running on hard drives, so I think I'm gonna like that change. Then I'm going with, what am I doing? I'm doing Trident Z Neo DDR4 RAM. So with the RAM, I was originally going to do 32 gigabits, just for price. I wasn't gonna spend too much. But then I started looking at, okay, where are we going? Cameras are really starting to push out like 6K. I'll still be rendering in 4K, but it's still gonna be subsampled 6K footage or 5K footage. And we're getting more and more complicated with our edits as far as motion graphics and other tricks we're just implementing in there. So it was recommended to just go ahead and jump to 64 gigs. So these are two 32 sticks. So that costs quite a bit because in an ITX board, you only have 2 slots. I really did not want to have to buy Windows 10. I only had laptops before. I did not have access to a key that I could hopefully reuse or anything like that. So bit the bullet, just got Windows. And then power supply. This one was playing with my heart for quite a while because I originally wanted this. I was uncomfortable with the amount of money to spend on it, on a power supply, but it is and controls everything. So it's hard to make concessions on it, but it's super important. I had the SFX, the SF600 watt, which I think it would have been fine, but that's just cutting it too close with these kind of things with this 3950 and the 2070 Super. It's really kind of close, and it's not even in its efficiency part of its curve. So I would really be coming really close to 600, and it just wouldn't be comfortable. So I ended up waiting a month. They were back ordered, and so it took a month, and I actually got them. So I'm super excited right now. So that's it. So all of these guys are about $2,500 for everything. Everything all in for me is more like $3,100 because if I was going to do this, I was not going to use a really crappy monitor that's just barely 1080. So I ended up grabbing a 4K monitor. I didn't need it to be the craziest, most expensive, nice color accurate thing for Photoshop. What we do, we have enough power and detail to do what we need to do with a lot of stuff. But at least we got one for now. We'll have one powerful computer for now, and we can get things rolling. Other things that are not on this list that are coming today and tomorrow are, I grabbed 2 more Noctua fans, just for case fans, keyboard, a nice Logitech keyboard, and a Logitech mouse, because I wanted one that had a side scroll also. It just makes things much quicker working on my timeline, being able to expand, zoom in, whatever, just with your hands. So I am going to start opening these things and get going. Got screwdrivers, got that set. Magnetic tray here, just in case. It's lots of small parts because it's an ITX. Oh, sorry, and the last thing, the case. I'll just pop that out here. All right. I would have loved to have the Encase M1, but I was not going to spend $200 on a case and wait 3 months to get it. But kudos to those who have that kind of patience and those kind of funds to wait for it. So here's the front I/O I was talking about, right in the front here. So you'll have USB Type A and then USB Type C, headphones in and out, power. Don't really care too much, but everybody likes to Google about the handle that's on this one. It's nice, it's cool. I'll never use it. One side, you'll have the ventilation for the PSU. Then I think it's a 3 slot for your graphics. Yep, 3 bays here. I'll have a port here for my exhaust fan. And I'll also have 2 120 mils available on the bottom. And then there's also one in the front. The nice thing about this is everything on here just pops right off. No screws or anything crazy. The other nice thing is, oh, by the way, an additional thing I had to purchase was extension cables for the PSU, because the way they like you to do it is they like you to have your PSU at the top, route your cables up through this nice little hidden storage area to keep things neat, and then back down to your motherboard and your GPU. But cables that come with your power supplies are not that long, standard. So I also grabbed that. If I don't need them, cool, but I bet I will. And then on the other side, tempered glass. I'm not an RGB guy, don't care. But this will just be nice too. So tempered glass side, it blocks off your PSU, so any ugly bits at the top, and you can just see your beautiful machine down there. So that's the case. TU150, not too big, not too small. So, first things first, I guess, is we will motherboard. So, before that, good thing I remind myself, is I should be fine here because I'm down. I know this doesn't make sense, my wood shop and other stuff, but I got metal electrical boxes, but we want to make sure we ground ourselves, right? Don't want to make that mistake. So I'm going to grab the PSU out. And it just still amazes me that they can have 750 watts and they put the thing in half the size. That's just unreal. They give you nice zip ties. Also some Velcro ties. Thank you, Corsair. That's a really good setup. I also don't mind the nice, pretty braided cables too. It'll look really nice. I mean, it's my first time. I'm really not expecting myself to have it look really nice, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to plug this in. This is 750 titanium, so I think I'm rocking all the way up to 90% efficiency. And about 93% efficiency to 80% load, which is pretty dang good. Turn them on, touch them. What else came with the motherboard? Manual, I will need you. Thunderbolt extensions of some kind, I'm not sure. Zip ties, Wi-Fi, I/O plate, and pretty stickers though. So, if you care about that. So, I'll throw this up here. So there's the motherboard I'll have. This is why I mentioned about in the mini ITX you'll have just 2 slots for your RAM. And most of the hype was all about, where are you? This guy, USB Type-C, front I/O. NVMe is on that guy, graphics card there, and I don't have it now, but I do intend to add 2 terabyte SSD, or sorry, 2 terabyte M.2 on the back, which would be nice. So first things first, I guess, since I have it set here, is let's get the CPU in. The big, risky, tricky bit that you don't want to screw up because it's a lot of money. So I left that. Now for the diamond, that diamond, and I am awfully shaky. No forces required. Good. Set. All right, you're there. I'm not going to touch the top because I don't want any oils on top of that for the thermal paste. Then let's get rid of these guys, since I'm using a different kind of cooler. Now I'm kind of thinking a couple things. One of the first easier things to do, I should throw the RAM in. So I'll grab these guys, push down, double click like in that. Double click, set and set. Now let's do the NVMe, the M.2. So get it in here. So we'll take the heat sink off. Ew. And yeah, I should probably do one more screw. The securing screw. No, I don't know if that's what it's called. I'm making it up though. It sounds right though. All right, and then this tiny little guy. And he should go in like this. And I'm going to use a magnetic one to start, even though it's not the right head. So I don't know how tight it's supposed to be, so I'm going for snug. That's set. Then don't be a fool with your heatsink. Make sure you take off the plastic on your thermal pad. And again, I expect a little bit of travel here, since it's a thermal pad and all. Just gonna make sure it's at least snug on there. Okay. Looking good so far. All right, so that's set. One thing I noticed here is when I did take off those brackets, now I have that back plate is sitting free. So instead of trying to put this into the case like that, I'm going to grab Noctua's base plates, and at least I'll make that sure that's secure. So according to their manual, I use the AM4 spacers. They look like identical to the other ones, but apparently they're different. And Noctua's manual makes it very easy and simple to see what to do, which screw holes to be using. All right, now it's looking real good. Clean up, NVMe's done. We have our CPU in, we have a RAM, M.2, our cooler brackets. It's looking good. So I think now we graduate to the case. What I'm gonna do to make things easier on myself is, number one, I want to take off this plexiglass shield. I'll take the top off. I really don't know. We'll pull off this side too. Yeah, the front even comes off. Nice. Dust collector on the front also. Look at the I/O shield. All right, I think this is just a push thing. Just trying to be a little gentle about it, so don't. That wasn't bad. All right, so that's in. Now, there should be 4 screws. Okay, I think now we're able to get the motherboard in. All right. Okay. Motherboard is in. All right. Next thing I'm looking at doing, I'm not going to do the cooler. I actually might do that cooler last. So I'm thinking of doing my power supply. So I took a little bit to read over the manuals for just to know what each of those pin connectors on the motherboard are. So which ones are the front IO, and which ones are coming from the power supplies. As you saw before, there's these plates. So that's where the air will need to go. So that means we slide them in like this. Two hands, and then just kind of cinch this up here. I'll brace it too. We'll see how well they make this one. This could be a case manufacturer fail, but they make it so at least you can get your screwdriver in. Now I wish there's a better way to plug that, but there doesn't seem to be. I don't like the way that cable works there. So, all right. So I got that set. What I'd like to do is get some of these cables plugged in. Through the motherboard. So I think some of these are going to be, so I can sneak my front power, audio, go. All right. So I have the power switch plugged in, the reset switch plugged in, the USB Type-C, and the USB 3.2 in. Now there is the front audio. That's the way you're set. I didn't need to take off the shield for the I/O to get the audio because it's like slightly underneath the top plate. So now I think I'm going to throw the GPU in. So I'll take out these spaces, and I'm grabbing 2 slots. So we are looking at this bad boy now, 2070 Super. Now this is a 3-fan, and I think it'll fit in there. We want to take off the shield. All right, so I'm just lifting that up so that I can safely put this guy in here. I'm going to check out the 6-pin and the 12-pin connectors. Connect them that way. But here we go. So I'm going in until I hear the click. Now I'm ready to put this on. And these look identical, which is nice. And so they'll go like that. and I'll sit down on there. So I took out the other fan so that I can get to these screws, the mounting screws. So before I do that, let's throw on a little paste. So I'm doing a pea size, but so that's in there. I'll grab this guy and we'll gently lower him down. And I'm wondering something, if I put those brackets on incorrectly, and I did. And the good news is that is an easy fix. I don't need to take a bunch of things off. So it's just I need to spin these guys around. Kudos if you saw that mistake before I did. So those are flipped around now, so they're inside, which is good. That means that I should be able to slip this down. I'm glad I eyeballed it first, just to make sure. This is looking much, much better. I'm just trying to catch a thread first. And so now I'm just going to go back and forth between them. Yeah, tighten the screws until they stop. So that was good. So those are in. Now I want to get the fans back in here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get that in there. I got one, and I'm going to try and plug in the other one while there's access. So I think it'd be wise also while I have this up to copy the clips while I can see them. These are massive fans, and I'm not entirely sure how this is supposed to go on. Well, that's all the further I'm comfortable doing. I think I might need to drop down and... Those plugs are there, and so right now they should be just straight, but they're kind of bent down for me to even get it this low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can return this D15. I actually took it up and I got it to post, so that's the good news. So the problem is this sits pretty proud, as you can see with that guy, and can't get a case on there, so I'll need to return this D15. So I went with the U12A instead of the S because of the fans. So these guys come with the new A12 or 25s. So the new ones from Noctua that are crazy with air pressure and airflow. It's quite a bit more fan blades, but this one kind of uses just some new features that allows it to create a lot more pressure. So this is perfect for the heatsink. This one comes with the U12A, comes with 2 fans on it. I got the Noctua Y splitter, so I can have both of my case fans coming to one input to go onto the motherboard, which will be great for also programming too, so they should be doing the same thing. And so I picked up the 15s. They're great for airflow, and so they're perfect case fans, not necessarily for your heatsink. So I grabbed 2 of these guys. These are the ones where you can either do the standard screw-on or their new little mounting system. They're really great for non-vibrations. So it's pull, 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 and that's on. That's it. This looks so much better than... The D15 is nice, but just knowing that, at least from the graphs and the numbers I've been seeing, that this is just as efficient as the D15, all thanks to these new X25 fans. Is insane. The heat sink is, heat plates are actually bigger, but I'm really digging that. Whew. All right, so you want the air to come in this way and go out that way. So that's the way you're supposed to go. I'm just gonna set in place and make sure everything is good. Oh, so perfect. So perfect. So, like, it perfectly clears the RAM. That's what I was looking for. Okay. I'm very happy. You're supposed to cut off the access. The only downside, and I know this might sound stupid, but the only downside is once you cut them, it's a little bit difficult to try and get them on or off again. Thermal paste time. And the nice thing is I did take a look when I took off that D15 just to see how I did with the spread, and I was pretty happy with it. At the time I was like, I think I'm overdoing it. But it was fine. There was like a little bit of squeeze, but nothing I'd be ashamed of. That's good. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, you're all buttoned up. So, we got that set, and this is what I was worried about. The good news is that all the CPU stuff works. This is just the difference of like how pretty do you want it. Okay, so I just got that cable to work in there. It's just going here, and if I twist it enough and get it to sit like that, this should button up and stay. Good. So that's looking pretty good. That's just the front I/O is all that is. So I don't have power cables or a bunch of other things going back here with this shallow bit. It's all heading in the top. So that means everything back here is just really neat. Looking good. There we go. No obstructions. Looking good. So. All right. There's my Lee Ryzen 3950 16-core CPU with NVIDIA RTX 2070 Super. We're sitting with 64 gigs of DDR4 RAM, 3200 speed, knocked to a U12A, and then a couple of the NFA12 15s for case fans for front and rear exhaust. And then a little bit of cable, PSU cable extensions for just making it look a little nice. We're set. Now to do my Windows install. I get all the drivers set and get Premiere Pro loaded on there and finally be able to touch some of my 4K footage that I've been really excited to see in their full glory on my 4K monitor. So that'll be super nice, super excited. Anyway, so if you're curious, let me know if you have any questions, how things go after this. I'm not really one to put numbers or stats or anything, but I suppose if you're really interested, just let me know. Just throw a message, and I suppose I could download one of those programs and at least give you the speeds and scores and temperatures that I get out of this. So if you're curious about such a powerful processor in a mini ITX case. So I tried to do it justice by doing Noctua fans and high flow rates to compensate. So otherwise, I get to go play. Thanks.